Let me tell you something most men don't want to hear. A woman will never truly value you until she feels that you can walk away from her. Yeah, I said it. You can buy her gifts, text her all day, treat her like a queen, but if deep down she senses that your entire world revolves around her, you've already lost your power. Harsh? Maybe. True? Absolutely. See, men today confuse attention with value. They think the more they give, the more she'll appreciate them. But women don't fall for constant availability. They fall for strength, discipline, and self-respect. And if you're being honest, you've probably been in that situation where you gave everything, your time, your energy, your peace, only for her to start pulling away. You start wondering, what did I do wrong? The answer is simple. You made her your purpose instead of making yourself your priority. This video isn't about playing games. It's about understanding psychology. Because the truth is, attraction fades when there's no respect, and respect fades when a man loses control of himself. When she knows you're emotionally dependent, she won't see you as a man to admire. She'll see you as a man to manage. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what you need to do to make her value you again. Not by chasing her, not by begging, but by becoming the kind of man she never wants to lose. Let's get into it. 1. Stop giving her unlimited access. One of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships is giving a woman unlimited access to their time, energy, and emotions. You answer every text instantly. You cancel plans just because she calls. You make yourself too available. And that's where you lose your power. Listen, women don't value what's always there. They value what's earned. When she knows she can reach you whenever she wants, you stop being a priority. You become a convenience. And when a man becomes convenient, he slowly loses his mystery, his masculinity, and most importantly, her respect. The hard truth is, women test the limits of your availability, not because they're manipulative, but because they want to feel your strength. They want to know that your life doesn't stop just because she texted, "Hey." Every time you drop what you're doing to respond, you're teaching her that your time is less valuable than hers. A woman respects a man who respects his schedule. She's more attracted to the man who says, "I'll call you later, I'm busy," and actually means it. It's not arrogance, it's discipline. And discipline is magnetic. You don't have to ignore her. You just need to stop living for her messages. Keep your focus on your purpose, your work, your growth. The moment she realizes that you're not waiting around for her, that's when she starts to think about you more. 1. Let's say she texts you on a Saturday night. What are you doing? You don't have to rush to reply. You could be out with friends, hitting the gym, or working on something that matters to you when she sees that your life is full, that you're not sitting around waiting for her attention. She begins to respect your time and value your presence more deeply. Remember, access should be earned, not given away for free. The man who gives too much gets taken for granted. The man who knows his worth makes her chase his attention, not the other way around too. Let her feel your absence. Here's a hard pill to swallow. Sometimes she can't appreciate your presence until she feels your absence. Most men never allow that to happen because they're terrified of losing her. So they stay constantly available, constantly chasing, constantly checking in, and guess what? That constant presence kills desire. A woman can't miss a man who never gives her a chance to. You see, absence creates value. It builds curiosity, it builds tension, and it reminds her that your time and energy are not endless resources. When she doesn't hear from you for a while, her mind starts to wander. What's he doing? Who's he with? Why isn't he calling? And suddenly, you're back in her thoughts. Men who are always around lose their edge. It's not about ignoring her or playing games, it's about balance. You have your own world, your own routine, your own goals. When you create space, she gets to see that you're not dependent on her attention to feel complete, and that independence, that's what women find irresistible. Absence also forces her to reflect. When she realizes that your presence brought peace, confidence, and masculine stability, your silence hits differently. That's when she starts to understand your worth. But if you never pull back, she'll never get the chance to notice what she's taking for granted. Remember, distance doesn't kill attraction, it strengthens it. The trick is knowing when to pull back and when to engage. Be present, but not predictable. Give her moments to wonder, not routines to rely on. 1. For example, let's say you used to call her every night before bed. Suddenly, You stop for a few days, not because you're angry, but because you're focused. Maybe you're working late, hitting the gym, or just recharging. When she notices your absence, she'll reach out first, she'll wonder why you're quiet, and that's when the balance shifts. Now she's thinking about you, chasing your presence, valuing your attention. Never underestimate the power of silence. Sometimes saying nothing says everything. 3. Put yourself first, always. Here's the truth most men refuse to accept. If you don't put yourself first, no one else will. Not your woman, not your friends, not even life itself. The moment you make her your entire world, you stop being the man she was attracted to in the first place. Most guys start off strong. They have goals, ambition, and a sense of purpose. But once a woman comes into the picture, they slowly start losing themselves. They cancel plans, forget their dreams, and start living to make her happy. And at first, she might enjoy the attention. But over time, that same attention turns into weakness in her eyes. Because deep down, she doesn't want a man who revolves around her. She wants a man who revolves around himself. Putting yourself first doesn't mean you don't care. It means you respect your own life enough not to lose it inside someone else's. It means your goals, your health, your peace, and your progress come before any relationship. When you stay focused on your purpose, you automatically become more attractive, more confident, and more grounded. A man with priorities commands respect. A man who sacrifices his own well-being just to keep a woman happy gets drained, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And once that happens, resentment starts to build. You start feeling empty, like you're giving everything and getting nothing in return. That's not love. That's self-neglect. You have to remember, the best version of you is the one that's centered, disciplined, and independent. When you operate from that space, your presence alone demands respect. You don't have to beg for it, you become it. Women admire men who have their own lives. When she sees that you're constantly improving, that you're driven by something bigger than her, she naturally wants to be part of that energy. She starts aligning herself with your vision, not because you asked her to, but because your focus and confidence inspire her. Putting yourself first isn't selfish, it's survival. It's how you protect your energy, your direction, and your identity. Because at the end of the day, if you lose yourself trying to please her, you'll end up losing both, her respect and your peace. So before you give your all to anyone else, make sure you've given enough to yourself. 4. Don't chase validation, demand respect. Let's be honest, too many men today are starving for approval. They live for compliments, likes, and constant reassurance. They think a woman's attention is what defines their worth. And that right there is the problem. Because the moment you start chasing validation, you give her all the power. You stop being a man of value and start acting like a man begging to be seen. Men used to be built differently. They moved with quiet confidence. They didn't need to prove themselves through words or social media posts. Their strength spoke for itself. But now, most men are walking around desperate for someone to notice them, doing too much, texting too often, explaining themselves over and over just to keep a woman interested. That's not attraction. That's desperation disguised as effort. You need to understand, respect is not given to the loudest man. It's earned by the man who doesn't need approval. When you know who you are, you don't need her constant validation. You don't need her to tell you you're good enough. You already know it. Here's the harsh truth. The more you chase her validation, the less she values you. Women can feel when a man is insecure. They can sense when you're trying too hard to be liked, and when that happens, they lose respect fast. You've got to wake up, man. You were not put on this earth to beg for attention. You were built to lead, to build, to command respect through your actions, not your words. Every time you seek her approval, you tell her you're beneath her emotionally. Stop doing that. Stop trying to please her into loving you. That's not love. That's submission. A man who demands respect carries himself differently. He knows what he stands for. He's not afraid to say no. He doesn't tolerate disrespect, and he doesn't compete for anyone's validation. That's the kind of man women chase because his energy says, I'm whole with or without you. So this is your wake-up call. Stop trying to convince her to see your worth. Start being the man who doesn't need to explain it. When you stop chasing validation, you start attracting respect, and that's when everything changes. 5. Control your emotions, don't beg for attention. Here's something a lot of men don't want to admit. Most of you let your emotions control you. The moment she pulls back, you panic. The moment she doesn't reply, you spiral. You start overthinking, sending extra messages, trying to fix something that probably didn't even need fixing, and that's exactly when she loses attraction. A man who can't control his emotions becomes predictable, and predictability kills respect. Women are emotional creatures. They feel first, then think later. But a man's power lies in his ability to do the opposite, to stay calm when things get shaky. That calmness is what separates a man from a boy. Too many guys confuse emotional expression with emotional control. They think being open means pouring their feelings out every 5 minutes, expecting comfort or reassurance in return. But that's not masculine strength. That's emotional dependency. You don't need her to validate how you feel. You need to learn how to manage how you feel. When you beg for attention, you're basically saying, my peace depends on your response. That's weakness. And women can sense it instantly. They may not say it, but the moment they realize their mood controls yours, they stop seeing you as the man they can rely on. You have to learn to detach emotionally when necessary. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you choose not to react from emotion. You stay focused, composed, grounded. That's the kind of energy that commands respect. When a woman sees that you don't crumble under pressure, she feels safe around you. And that safety translates to attraction. Emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings, it's about mastering them. You know when to speak and when to stay silent. You know when to act and when to walk away. You know that your peace is more valuable than proving a point. So, stop letting your emotions make decisions for you. Stop chasing her reaction like it defines your worth. When she sees that you can stay calm while she's testing your patience, that's when she realizes she can't manipulate your peace. That's real power. And once a man masters that, he never has to beg for attention again. 6. Set standards and stick to them. Let's be real. Most men have no standards. They say they do. But the moment they meet a beautiful woman, every boundary disappears. She shows attitude, they tolerate it, she disrespects them, they make excuses for her, she pulls away, they chase harder. And then they wonder why she doesn't take them seriously. Here's the truth. You can't demand respect for boundaries you don't enforce. If you let everything slide because you're scared of losing her, you've already lost yourself. Standards aren't about controlling her. They're about controlling you. It's about deciding what you will and won't accept, and standing firm no matter how much you like her. A man without standards becomes a man without direction. You start bending to her moods, her emotions, her terms, and over time you lose your identity. But when you have clear standards, you don't have to yell or argue, your actions speak. If she crosses a line, you don't react emotionally. You simply distance yourself. That silence says everything. Women actually respect men with standards. She might test you, but deep down, she's drawn to the man who doesn't fold. Why? Because it shows strength. It shows that you value yourself enough to walk away from anything that disturbs your peace. Standards also keep you from falling for temporary emotions. When you know your worth, you don't chase situations that drain you. You attract people who align with your values. You stop settling for attention and start demanding respect through your discipline and consistency. And listen, it's not about being perfect. It's about being principled. If you say you won't tolerate disrespect, then don't. If you say you value honesty, then don't entertain lies. The moment you break your own rules for her, she'll know she can get away with anything, and the dynamic shifts. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. So, if you keep accepting less than you deserve, you can't blame anyone else for the results. Standards protect your masculinity, your peace, and your purpose. They remind the world and yourself that your value is not negotiable. 7. Walk away when you're not valued. Every man has a breaking point, but the problem is most men ignore it. They stay in situations where they're unappreciated, unloved, and disrespected, hoping things will change. But here's the truth you need to hear. If she doesn't value you, walking away is the only thing that will make her see your worth, or free you to find someone who will. Too many men stay out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear that no one else will want them. That fear keeps you stuck in relationships where you're slowly losing your confidence, your peace, and your self-respect. But the man who's not afraid to walk away, that's the man who wins. Because walking away doesn't mean you gave up, it means you refused to settle. It means you finally chose yourself over someone who couldn't see your value. It's the most powerful move a man can make, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. A woman might not respect your words, but she'll respect your absence. When you stay after she's disrespected you, she learns that your boundaries are fake. But when you leave, calmly, silently, with your dignity intact, that's when reality hits her. She realizes she lost something solid, something she can't easily replace. Walking away takes strength. It takes emotional control. It means accepting that not everyone will see your worth, and that's okay. Because your value doesn't decrease just because someone failed to appreciate it. Men need to wake up. You can't teach someone to value you by staying where you're not respected. You teach them by walking away and staying gone. That silence, that distance, that peace, it speaks louder than any argument ever could. So, if she's playing games, if she's constantly making you question your place in her life, stop explaining yourself, stop begging to be seen. Walk away with your head high, not to make her chase you, but to remind yourself that you were the prize all along. A man who knows when to leave is a man who truly understands his worth. And once you master that, you'll never settle for being half-loved again. Conclusion. Let's end this with something that's going to trigger a lot of people. Most women don't realize a man's true value until he finally stops trying to prove it. The day you stop begging, explaining, or chasing is the day she sees who you really are. That's when she starts to understand what she lost, because no woman values what she doesn't have to earn, and no man earns respect by playing weak. Here's the truth. Love without respect is nothing. You can't build a relationship on feelings alone. Feelings fade, but respect and admiration, those last. So stop giving yourself to people who can't see your worth until you're gone. Stop fighting to stay where you're only tolerated. You deserve to be valued while you're present, not missed, only when you leave. And I want to hear from you. Really drop your thoughts and your experiences in the comments. Tell me when you realized you were giving too much, when you decided to finally walk away, or when you saw her start to value you again. I'll be reading, responding, and connecting with as many of you as I can, because your story might just wake another man up. Remember, this isn't about being bitter, it's about being better. You're not walking away from her, you're walking back to yourself. And trust me, in the next video, we're diving into something even deeper. Why most men lose power the moment they fall in love. You're not ready for that one, but you need to hear it. Stay tuned, because that conversation might just change everything.